Number 1, x squared y times negative 3x cubed. Here we're just multiplying two monomials. So basically what you're going to do is if there's any numbers out front, you'll multiply them. Here we've got 1 out front, so 1 times negative 3 is just negative 3. And if you've got variables with the same base or the same variable, you're just going to add the exponents. So x to the second times x to the third, x to the fifth, and then the y doesn't have anything to multiply with. Number 2, largely the same thing, negative 8xy squared times negative 5xy to the third. When we multiply the numbers, negative 8 and 5, or negative 5, we get positive 40. If you multiply the x's, keep in mind the x's have an exponent of 1, both of them do. So when we multiply those, we get x squared. And then when we multiply the y's, we get y to the fifth. Number 3, negative x times 6x squared plus 7x plus 8. This one's a little bit different. Here we've got, in the second parentheses, trinomial, 3 terms separated by a plus or minus in the middle of them. So when you've got that, what you'll need to do is distribute. We're going to take the negative x times each of the terms in the next parentheses. This is called distribution. So we're going to distribute. And then however that multiplies out. So starting with the negative x and the 6x squared, it's going to be negative 6x to the third. And then doing the negative x times the positive 7x, that's going to be negative 7x squared. And then lastly, doing the negative x times the negative 8, that's going to be positive 8x. If you've got any like terms, you'll want to put those together, but x cubed doesn't have another x cubed to add with it. Neither does the x squared or the x. So that's as simplified as this gets. Number 4, we've got 2 things in the first parentheses, 3 things in the second parentheses. So if we're going to multiply these, then the 2 things in the first parentheses we're actually going to distribute to everything in the second parentheses. So what that looks like is we're going to take the negative x times the first thing there, times the second thing, and then times the third thing. And then after we've done that, we're going to do the whole thing again, but with the negative 1 times all 3 of those things. So both things in the first parentheses being distributed. So starting with the negative x times negative 6x squared. This one times the first one there. So negative times a negative is going to be positive 6. And then the x times x squared is going to be x to the third. And again, just to keep in mind that we're multiplying all these. So negative x times negative 5x is going to be positive 5x squared. Negative x times negative 7, negative and the negative makes a positive 7x. So that's all of the negative x being distributed. Now we're going to move on to the negative 1. I'll do this in blue. Negative 1 times negative 6x squared is going to be positive 6x squared. Negative 1 times negative 5x, positive 5x. Negative 1 times negative 7, positive 7. And then after that, you just want to put any like terms together that you've got. And I'll connect those. 6x cubed doesn't have anything to go with it, but the 5x squared and the 6x squared, if you add those, you get 11x squared. 7x and 5x. And then the 7 doesn't have anything to go with it. Number 5, 2x minus 1 times 7x plus 6. This is something that you'll want to be really good at. This particular kind of multiplication is going to come up a lot, where you've got a binomial with 2 terms times another binomial. And a lot of times the way that we multiply this is referred to as FOIL, where you're taking the first times the first, the outers, which would be the 2x and the 6, multiplying those, the inners, which is the I, which is the 2, multiplying the 2 inside ones, and then the last one in the first parentheses times the last one in the second parentheses. But basically all we've done is we've distributed the 2x to everything in the second parentheses. We've distributed the -1 to everything in the second parentheses. Largely just the same thing that we did in the last example. So starting with the 2x times 7x. Make sure when you multiply that you're adding those exponents, the x to the first, the x to the first, making x to the second. 2x times 6. Then moving on to the -1. -1 times 7x is going to be -7x. -1 times 6, -6. And then add any like terms. Number 6, one more example of multiplying a binomial with another binomial. So again, you're going to distribute the 7x to the third. We're going to distribute the -8. So 7x to the third times x to the third, 7x to the sixth when we multiply. 7x to the third times 8. And then moving on to the -8, -8 times x to the third. -8 times +8. And then a lot of times you'll have terms in the middle that are like terms. Both of them are x squareds. So we put the numbers in front together and we get 7x squared plus 48x cubed minus 64.